Hey everyone. In today's video, we are going to go over a recent interview with, I don't know how to pronounce his name, if it's Mike Mika or Mike Mika, but the guy from Digital Eclipse, who is interviewed by Jeft Gerstmann, and they talk a bit about the Amico, and apparently one of his games is 100% complete. So I haven't watched this yet, so I figured, hey, why not? Let's all watch this together and see what they say.
It's just been it's been awesome seeing this stuff. You've been working on, I guess, a lot of different things over the years. You were involved with the Amico at a certain point. In like, I guess, like
Poor guy, feel bad for him.
Night Stalker. Was it just Night Stalker, or was it a handful of games?
Yeah, we were targeting Night Stalker and Cloudy Mountain, which is the AD&D game. Those were the ones that we
Right.
really wanted to. We had some other ones that we're working on, just a high level. We did some small demos, but those were the two that we were really gunning for.
And those are the two biggest ones that the Intellivision fans were looking forward to. So you'd think they would have pushed that a bit more for all the nerds who were following the Amico, but they only showed really brief snippets of gameplay for both of them.
How did that? What? Do you think any of those games will see? I don't even know what to ask here. Do you
I think Jeff is trying to say, why would you waste your time doing that? It's such a colossal waste of time because you know it was going to fail.
think any of those games will see the light of day? I know that, like, that whole situation from a distance has just looked really crazy for a really long time. And I mean, do you think that
Yeah.
people will ever play those games in some form, or?
I'm hopeful. So, I mean, probably anybody.
Another thing to state from Mike here, he's always kept a positive attitude. I'm guessing he is friends with Tommy, but he's been asked this before, not so much recently, but in the last few years, and he's never ever thrown Tommy or the Amico under the bus. I'm guessing since he's business partners, it would make sense, but he's always kept the positive attitude.
Everybody listening now knows the whole thing that's been going on with Amico, and like everybody has their own armchair version of like what happened or what they think happened. And Tommy, I've known him for so long, so it's like it's a hard thing to kind of sit and watch, because it's just like, okay, he's a guy who gives it his all, but also
Does he really give it his all? Does Mike not remember the daily rants of Tommy on message boards and constant interviews online with a bunch of weird YouTubers? Maybe he doesn't know about all that stuff, but does Tommy really give it his all?
there's mistakes made and there's all these things, and
Mistakes made. That's an understatement there.
early on, like it was at the very before they even started doing anything, Tommy had reached out because we've been doing a lot of what we do, and
Right.
he's like, Intellivision has this rich history, and we're all friends with Keith, who Robinson, who was the owner of Intellivision. We always wanted to bring it back in a big way. He was the Blue Sky Ranger with all the Blue Sky Rangers, the guys who were the original Intellivision guys, and just one of the nicest guys on the planet. And so he had passed away, and this was just probably a year after he passed or so.
Yeah.
And all of us were just kind of still feeling kind of down about it, because he
Oh, so he tugged at this guy's heartstrings to get him to make games so Tommy could profit. Nice guy.
was just one of the nicest guys ever and believed in all that. And Tommy, who knew him really well, was just like, I want to do something with this. Like, I want to do it for Keith. I want to do it. I want.
Really? Did Tommy want to do it for Keith? He didn't want to do it for his own ego and or money. I find that hard to believe. This guy probably is a nice guy, but might be a sucker.
Get the Intellivision out, because his dream was to get an Intellivision console back out.
Yeah.
And so he just was hell bent on just willing it into existence, and by whatever means possible. And
Lying, cheating, stealing, like the Eddie Guerrero means.
that's always Tommy's style. And so he called up and he's like, hey, I want to do this. I want to do it for Keith. I want to do it for all these reasons. I want to go after all this stuff. And he's like, but I kind of want to know what it needs to be. And so he had this. We gathered a whole bunch of people he knew, like Dave Perry and everybody. We all got together, and it was just this weekend of just spitballing what an Amico could be, before it was called Amico. What is a new Intellivision, and what you do? And there's a lot of debate about it. And so even at that point, it was kind of like, well, if we're gonna sit here and work together on what this thing should be, we should also talk about like what games we should do and all kind of stuff. And so
Sorry for pausing so much here, but I would be really curious to know what the other people's input was on what it should be, because I can't imagine this guy who owns or runs Digital Eclipse, who is fully aware of how the current gaming situation is. I doubt that he would suggest, hey, let's have no face buttons, a touchscreen, and all the bizarre and wacky controls. Like you would think someone who, this guy at least has legitimate recent gaming experience, would suggest many different, maybe not having the exact same clone or a similar clone to the original Intellivision controller because it sucked. So I still find it hard to believe that anyone besides Tommy suggested all the features of the Amico, such as the controller, the LED lights, and all the Ferrari red, all that stuff.
I basically threw my hat in Night Stalker, one of my favorite games on Intellivision, and separately, Dave Reese and Jeremy Williams, who are now with us here at Digital Eclipse, working on Cloudy. They had a conversation to do Cloudy Mountain because one of their favorite games, of course, was that. And so Tommy was just like, "Yeah, let's do that. That's great," and start going on. And when they were pulling together the first let's show games, real games that the Amico will have in their first announcement, we had brought Night Stalker pretty far along. It was really a demo, but it had like 4 levels in it and had a battle mode that you can play and all this kind of stuff. So we put that on their kind of like dev kit board, not the final thing. I have one of those over here.
Yep, he has a fabled dev kit board. So there you go. We got confirmation that Night Stalker was not complete. 4 levels done. So Smash D Team was correct when he said there was something, but not much.
But like their kind of Android board or whatever it was, and their special controller. We had like things come up on the controller.
Yeah.
And I think Cloudy Mountain had some degree of finish too, and so we just threw that out there. And
some degree of finish too. So what does that exactly mean for Cloudy Mountain? Because all we saw was a couple seconds, and it seemed like a basic game, but an easy game to sell to the old men who want nostalgia. It's weird that they didn't show more of it and focus so much on Evil Knievel.
Then after that, it was a big question of like, where's the money going to come from? Like, we're building the hardware, we're going to try to raise money for software and do this kind of stuff, and we're still like, yeah, we'll do this or anything, but we can't. Our company before Republic, we're like, we can't spend money, we don't have money, so like we have to wait till you have money and then we'll finish this game up. So the game has been kind of off and on a little bit. Like I have a build of it on my machine right here, which I've been just kind of pecking away at because I think ultimately we'll be able to, no matter what happens with the Amico, and Phil's trying to do something with that still, and some people are getting them, but like we're more or less
2 people are getting them. So you can sell 2 copies of Cloudy Mountain, one to DJC, and the other one to Mike Mulis. That's this guy's being too generous to Phil Adam here.
It's like we want these games to come out, so ideally at some point we'd like to have that conversation of like let's see what this looks like if it's on all platforms and Amico or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it feels like unfinished business, and I'd love to get Night Stalker out there in Cloudy Mountain because Cloudy Mountain plays great. That one's done, and so that'd be.
Oh, so he does say it's done. He just said it wasn't done and that he was pecking away at it. So is this guy telling the truth? And they haven't had the conversation. That was an interesting piece there because I thought Phil's one of his most recent updates, or maybe it was the last one. I don't even remember when they officially had an update. They talked about looking into outsourcing all their games to possibly different systems, just for a stream of revenue. So they haven't even had a conversation with the good buddy Mike Mika here. Very weird.
Really cool to try to get that out there too. So we have nothing to announce, or we don't have any. But if that opportunity comes along, we'd love to take it.
Yeah. It's just been interesting watching.
Trainwreck. Jeff is being nice because we've seen the other videos of him making fun of it so much.
That whole thing happened. I ended up moving to Southern California about a year ago, and then realized like, oh, I'm maybe an hour away from where their offices were, and then realized like, oh, the offices that they apparently just vacated. And I was like,
yeah.
And there's just become, and I get it because like I think some of the ways that they responded to criticism haven't always,
they being Tommy,
been great, and there's just been. It's been a mess.
Gong show? Or is that just a Canadian term?
But like one of
trash heap, if you're English. I don't know.
Those things that from a distance you kind of can't help but look at and go like, this thing's maybe never going to happen, but like I need to keep looking at this because I can't look away. And so there's a part of me that's just like,
oh, so a train wreck, but maybe never happening. He knows it's not happening. He's just being nice.
like I could go down and film their empty ball. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to get into the middle of all this mess.
Yeah, there's a series of like misfortunes that nobody will know or have a light of day of that like will someday come out. But
series of misfortunes. Well, I'm assuming he's talking about them losing $1 million plus to Ark, but I don't know how a series of misfortunes can be considered when opening 3 offices, coming up with a console idea to start with, spending 6 figures on people who did nothing. To me, that's not a series of misfortunes. That's more of a series of mismanagements. And you can't just keep saying COVID and blame that for everything. Don't know why these guys keep covering for Tommy, but like, you don't have to trash the guy or anything. Like, if you're friends with him, you could say, well, it's unfortunate how things turned out based off the decisions they made. But I hate when places just like place the blame as like, oh, they tried, it wasn't their fault. It's like, no, it's 100% their fault. They didn't look at Evercade. Look at the small little group. They managed to push out systems. And the reason is because they kept it small, didn't do anything ridiculous, didn't have 3 offices, didn't put E3 promos that cost, tons of money.
Like, it was just a whole group of people who gave everything. Like, it's like the Jaguar. They gave everything they could to try to make this happen. They believed in the cause. They wanted to do family games again. They wanted to do all these things, but
they did everything they could. So lying is everything they could. Huh. It's taking in money from clueless investors, seniors, or whoever. That's everything they could. I don't agree with that.
There's the other side of it that a lot of people don't see is like when you're raising money, a lot of it is you have to publicly even say things that are going to entice the people and give you the money you need, right?
Yeah.
I'm not accusing Tommy of doing that, but like I can see that being something you do because even when you're like just trying to, get put that public persona out there so that people who are Googling things on stuff can be like, oh yeah, this is going to be a safe bet or whatever.
Right.
You're just trying to convince people of like what you're trying to do and
no,
sell them on it.
So he's admitting that Tommy lied. And he had good intentions, so that's all that matters, even though they took all that money from clueless investors, especially the older folks. That makes it okay. Yikes.
Still, even though, but like that gets all that just doesn't work at the end of the day or whatever, and I'm sure there's a lot of that going on, and they had to like try to own up to promises they made to early investors and do all this kind of stuff, and I wish that on nobody because that's such a hard spot to be. And when you look at the team he assembled, a lot of great people there, and it's like
such as who's the great people he assembled? I don't know about that. Are they great people? Because we've seen videos or other people expose how some of the people in that group were, I would say, not so great people there. And I'm not talking about within the IT gaming industry. I'm talking about their personal lives and what they followed and the people they followed. They don't seem like great people.
Like they were just all trying to get it to work.
Yeah. I guess we'll see what. I mean, like you said, it seems like that there's maybe something there hardware-wise going to make it out and all that stuff. But yeah, it seemed like that was eventually the path anyway, is that maybe we'll see this stuff on Steam or, coming out on various platforms.
A lot of the games, I think, were pretty far along, if not done. So I like...
No, not a lot of them were. And a lot of them were already mobile ports. Those are the ones that are close to be done because they were already complete from the beginning, so... Phil's
still making this thing, trying to get this thing to happen, and like we're all rooting for him. But like if the console comes out, there's games there. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't come out, those games definitely can go anywhere else, I'm sure. So it's I wouldn't see.
But I was told that the Amico games can only be played on the Amico, and I'm sure that was what they discussed when they had that weekend powwow. So he's saying that they can be anywhere.
Anybody not wanting that to happen.
We will eventually get Cornhole on Steam somehow.
Yeah, like Cornhole. By the time the next Xbox comes out, we might see Cornhole the launch title.
This launch. Can we get like Iron Galaxy to do like I feel like there's some like Racketeer 2 cornhole. There's some kind of thing there.
I would love to make that call like Dave. 2 words, man. And I've got all the money in the world.
Yeah.
Cornhole.
I got 2 more words for you. Racketeer 2.
Yeah, Racketeer 2 and Cornhole.
All right, Cornhole. Can we bring these together somehow?
Yeah, Cornhole X Racketeer.
So, we're canceling Rumbleverse. It's like, the season. Yeah, it's great. But like, honestly, this is where the money. Yeah, that'd be the hot move for them. Well, I hope that. I'm.
You can tell he's holding back so much. He, unlike Tommy, is trying to remain professional, so it doesn't anger this guy. And I'm sure he has different thoughts. Some probably a lot more similar thoughts to what we all do.
I love the format of Atari 50. I'm so just enamored. It's so cool to see this stuff.
Okay, so I had cut it off there because they stopped talking about the Amico, but there we have it there. Just a small little update on Intellivision and some of the games that they had made for it. In conclusion, yet another person trying to, save Tommy's face there. I guess it makes sense since they are supposed to be friends and doesn't want to bury the guy because it'd be really easy to. But it is interesting we found out that one game apparently is 100% complete, and I'm guessing he did it all on his own dime there because he said he was pecking away at it. And Cloudy Mountain 100%, so Night Stalker only 4 levels done, possibly coming to Steam. Is there really a demand for this? Like I know it wouldn't cost much to put it on Steam, but is it really worth it? Because who really cares about those games? Very little amount of people do. Either way, that's all we got for today. Hopefully you enjoyed that. It's nice to get a little bit of updates. So until the next video, which I have a couple more videos coming up. One non-Amico video. And actually, on the channel, I'll be doing reviews of games that I think are pretty good, that are indie games. So at least a change of pace from all the silly stuff. But on the same note, I have another Intellivision video coming out soon featuring Francois, so make sure to check it out in the next week or so. But until then, have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.